What's good? It's me, Tim Keys, and today I want to talk about the new MPC Key 61 workstation. Just got released last week, and people have been talking about this in forums and different chat rooms for roughly about a year. So to finally see this thing come out and it's not something that was made up, I think it's a good thing. I personally like the idea of having a one-stop shop workstation that can do drums well, have a very nice and easy sampling based workflow, and at the same time produce good sounds. I think it's a welcome addition to the Akai lineup, especially when you consider if you were somebody that produced music, back in the late 90s and 2000s doing urban music, you usually had to have your MPC for your drums, but you needed a sound module to get good sounds. And yeah, you had to get that from the Korgs, the Rolands, the Tritons, the Yamahas, and so forth. But they didn't necessarily have a sequencer that had the same type of workflow experience as an MPC. So you kind of had to float back and forth between the two. So finally, after all these years, it's nice to see that Akai has created a very comprehensive workflow experience with having both the drum side taken care of, as well as having the sounds needed to do everything in one space, so to speak. Now, I don't think it'll be perfect. It'll always be some drawbacks, and we'll kind of get into some of that. But I think this is a welcome addition, and quite frankly, I think the more options that we have as consumers of products for beat makers, the more tools that we have access to utilize and to work with, I think it's all the better, because now you have so many options to utilize for making music. This new MPC Key workstation comes with a lot of features and a lot of stuff. They give you 6 additional plugins that you can use for creating your sound, which I think is nice. You get, let's scroll back up. You get the OP4, which is a 4-operator FM synth. You get the Fabric collection, which is kind of like a 2-oscillator, sample-based, easy rompler slash synthesizer. You get an organ, stage piano, EP, strings, and so forth. I'm also going to cover some of these plugins in the MPC software just so you can get a sense of what you're getting. But for the hardware units, this is what's included. You also get all of these, which is everything that came with the MPCs. So you're getting all of those plugins as well. And then you get the effects. So you're getting a lot of stuff in this unit. So I think it's a welcome addition. Looking at some of the overall feature sets, if I can find it. If I'm not scrolling too fast, I apologize. You get, there we go, up here. So you get the drum pads from the MPC 1. You get the 7-inch touchscreen. You get a touch strip controller. You get the Q links. You have your pitch wheel, your mod wheel. You get onboard Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. I assume that's if you want to connect up with Splice and download some Splice loops. You get 61 weighted keys and Aftertouch. I just want to throw that out there. If you're a keyboardist, Aftertouch is your friend. I'm glad they decided to throw that in, because there are a lot of keyboards that have come out recently in the last year or so that do not offer this feature. And what Aftertouch essentially does is basically it allows for more expressiveness within, when you're playing. So the harder you strike the keys, you're going to get different nuances of sound. And this is different from just your standard keys. If you play it and you experience it, you know what I'm talking about. On the other hand, you have the ability to hook up to interfaces, 4 outputs, 2 mic preamps, you get 8 CV outputs, and yeah, you get your standard MIDI plugs and whatnot. So there's some stuff missing. It would be nice if it had the ability to expand the hard drive. I assume that's what these USB knobs are for at the top, but it would have been nice if they came with a little SD card or something. But you'd use a hard drive to go ahead and get to work. So it's not too bad. Who would this be for? Ideally, anybody that is willing to pay the price of, I think it's $1,800, $1,900, which isn't bad. If you're somebody that's looking to have the one-stop experience of creating and composing all of your beats using one unit, I think this will definitely do that. Just because you get all of the beats and the sonics and the workflow from your MPC. You have the ability to sample. I do like MPC's sampling abilities. I think it's nice. You do get the sounds that come with it, so you don't have to reach for different sounds. You can pretty much take care of all of your stuff within the workstation. So I think it'll appeal to somebody like that. I think if you're someone that's looking for a workstation and you don't have one already, this would be ideal for you. So I think it's a good look. Now, on the other hand, there's some competition. I'm going to point that out. First one being Roland. Roland, you can get a Phantom 06 for about $1,600. You get the Zencore engine. You also have a limited sequencer. I don't think it is as deep as what you find in the MPC, but it's definitely enough to get your thoughts down and get some stuff going. And it's cheaper because it's $1,600. You get the Roland sound, so you get the supernatural pianos, you get the Zencore engine, and so forth. So that is a plus, and it's cheaper. I don't know if you get the, what am I thinking? I don't know if you get Aftertouch. So that may be something that you're missing. I don't know how well it integrates with Ableton software, which is a request from a lot of people. Other side to that is the Korg Nautilus, which is for the 61 key, $2,200, and you get a streamlined workstation with most of the trimmings of the Korg Kronos, all of the sound engines. You do lose the Karma engine, and you do lose the Aftertouch. You lose the sliders and the knobs and so forth. So that could be a turnoff. It's also more expensive if you're buying one brand new. And I don't think they updated the sequencer on the Nautilus. So I think that workflow is relatively similar to that of the Kronos. So you may or may not like a linear workflow experience working with the Nautilus and its sequencer. So if you want a one-stop shop, you're going to get just as much, if not more, with a Nautilus, but the workflow will be different. And it doesn't have the same level of integration as the Roland. It definitely doesn't have the same level of integration as the MPC keys. So keep that in mind. So yeah, on the other hand, let's talk about what you get if you are someone that is on the software. So I got the software. The bare bones update 2.11 is essentially free. Just download it, pull everything up. To get the new sounds, on the other hand, it's going to cost you some money. Let's throw that out there. So to get these new sounds and add them to your MPC setup, you can demo them. Now they're being funky. Let's go back. But the MPC sounds is going to cost you, let's hit that learn more, $400. So keep that in mind. $500. So not necessarily the cheapest thing to go out and get, especially if you're using the drum machines. I would assume you probably already have other plugins that you're using. If you're using the software primarily, and that's your main go-to, and you don't have one of the standalone units, definitely might want to consider before jumping and doing the $500 upgrade. It's not bad, and I'll show you what you get. So I got the software loaded up, and I only downloaded a couple of the instruments just because I personally don't need them. But from what I've checked out so far, I will say they do sound good. So you have the the stage piano which has 4 different keyboards that have been sampled. You have the Yamaha C7, the Steinway D, the Bekenstein Upright, the Yamaha. So you have the Yamaha C7. Let's go back to initialize. You also have Steinway, which has a more brighter sound. No effects on it so far. This is initialized. Pedal on. So there's that. That's the Steinway D. They don't sound bad. Bekenstein. So doesn't sound bad. You can also change the style, atmospheric, funk, ballad, so forth. Last one is the workstation. This one has the brightest sound. Kind of reminds me of the old Triton. You can go in and, you know, make some fine-tune adjustments on things like the age. Getting some detail effects. The attack, the release, you can go in and manipulate pedals, get a different feel. You can go in here. You can adjust the sound. Flavor will add different textures to the piano. So you can really get creative. Add vinyl. Some flutter on it. All right. So yeah, you get some creative options, which is nice. You have your delays, your reverbs, and so forth. So I'm not going to go over every feature. You can demo these too for about 10 days. So I would recommend that if you're on the fence or you're curious and want to see what this stuff sounds like, and I'll show you that, you know, near the end of the video. Next, I want to do the 4 operator FM synth. And FM synthesizers or FM synthesis is one of those deals that, you know, it's kind of like hit and miss for a lot of people. You either love it or you hate it. I personally love it in most cases because FM synthesis can get you a wide variety of sounds and it's really flexible. Other side to that is making it programmable is kind of hard. Making an easy, you know, programmable FM synthesis is not an easy feature to do. This seems to take a middle of the road approach. You get 4 different operators. You also get a little sample deal right here, so you can pick some different samples, add more textures to your sounds. You get this matrix that will determine how these operators interact with each other. Yeah, there's a lot going on here. I'm not going to cover all of that just for the sake of time. You do get like 3 effects units, or like basic effects and different options to pick. Then you get your global effects here, and you get a lot more options of reverbs and flangers. So you can definitely create some sounds. Let's do a couple patches. There we go. So, let's do a couple more. That's got a different harmonic in there. That's cool. We'll do one more. Let's do the attack flute. Okay. So yeah, there's a lot of options to choose, a lot of stuff to pick. Just want to see something real quick. Go back. All right, so they do have a little noise in there to get that flute sound. Let's take it off and see what we get. All right. So there's that. I think this would definitely appeal to like the keyboardists because there aren't too many synthesizers that have a FM engine built into it. I can think of the Kronos, Nautilus, they got one. If you would consider the Montage a true workstation, then yeah, that's got FM synthesis. But other than that, there aren't that many, and you get a lot of stuff out of there. Anyhow, last one, Fabric. So Fabric is essentially, like a Rompler with some, some limited synth features. I think it's cool. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So you can go here and pick your categories, different sounds you want. Then you can go here, type of sound to get more specific. Bells, FM. And you have your basic layout with your macros for filter cutoff and resonance, attack, release, format, sample start, etc. Delay, reverb. You can get a little bit more detailed by going into the synth, and then you get to mess around with the volume, filter types. You go here and mess around with your amplitude envelope, filter envelope, pitch envelope, and then you have your LFO over here, sync, destination, tell you where to go. You can also have different options for your LFO. So you get some flexibility without getting so far in depth with sound design that you get overwhelmed, and it may take you away from the creative process of making music. Get 2 layers to mess with. You also get so you have a second layer that will allow you to do the same manipulation as the first layer. You also have a percussion oscillator, if you will, that will incorporate various transients of various sounds. It's a lot of options to pick, and so you could do anything from kind of messing around and build your own drum synth sound, so to speak, or at least parts of it, to adding these textures to your overall sound, which is cool. Over in the effects unit, you get your chorus, tremolo, phaser. I like how they keep it simple. Again, they have a flavor knob here, which again will allow you to add different textures to your sounds. You can make stuff sound a little bit more dirty. Which is cool. So that's pretty neat, because everybody likes that dirty sound now in urban music. So putting that in as an option, I think, was a smart move. And again, if you have this in your, as the workstation and you're buying this, I think it's a good deal. Because again, it's going to add to the sounds and the sound palette and the flexibility of what you can do. I'll do a couple more presets playing around, because there are some decent presets in here. to deal with that wobble and time it. Let's do a couple more. Let's see, atmospheric pick. Not bad. Not bad. And then let's see, we'll mess around with the oscillators. That Juno. So there's that. So yeah, this is not bad. In my opinion, Fabric XL definitely seems to be a good companion to tube synth. So tube synth and bass synth. Bass synth and tube synth have, in my opinion, a more richer sound, a little bit heavier. This tends to have a lighter sound, although with the effects you can drive it. This has a more lighter and brighter sound. And yeah, I mean, it's a VST. So yeah, in terms of the keyboard world and workstation, I think these are all good plugins because, I mean, it's a lot of flexibility for $1,800 and you get the aftertouch and it's $1,800 and you get the MPC workflow. So that ability to chop up samples and make hard beats and all that stuff, you can do it easily because there's some great drums that come with the MPC. On the other hand, you know, if you're somebody who has the MPC standalone units, not the new workstation, depending on what you already have in your possession, you may not find it necessary to download and go out and make another purchase for the additional plugins, because you may have other plugins or other synths that kind of do those same things. So, you know, if you have it already, it's definitely a welcome addition. If you've got the MPC workstation, the keyboard. If you have the standalone units, the drum machines, you may not need to get those as much, but you can try them out through demoing them, which is what I'm doing. If you're somebody that's using the software like I use, I don't have the new units, I just use the software, then you may not necessarily find them to be as useful because you're working primarily from your computer. You may be using this with another DAW altogether because you can use the software in another DAW as a VST. And you probably have a bunch of other VSTs that may meet this need already. For $500, there's also plugins like Omnisphere, the Complete series, even Reason. You can use it as a plugin and it's very comprehensive. The Arteria Complete 9 collection is another option and they give you a boatload of sounds. So if you're in the software world, and that's primarily, you know, how you make your music and, you know, using the computer, working in the box, so to speak, then the plugins may not be as useful to you. They sound good. They sound really good in my opinion. And I like the streamlined workflow because, yeah, you can use this stuff and it's not so over in depth that you get bogged down with the sound design stuff. You could just focus on making the music, which is what it's really all about. But, you know, for the price point of $500, there are a lot of other options to choose from, and I would definitely recommend demoing the products first see if you like it, see if you like the workflow, and then make a decision going from there. Thank you for watching this video. Shout out to Jayon because he let me know my volume in the other video was low, so I went back and redid this just to make sure the volume was good and people could hear it. So thank you for watching this video. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section. Are you getting the workstation? Are you upgrading and paying for the plugins if you got a standalone unit? What are your thoughts? I would love to hear from you. Thank you. My name is Tim Keys, and I'm out. Peace.